Welcome to the Maximum Edge Sports Wagering Podcast. My name is John Santucci. Call me Tooch. I got an awesome guest today, one of my favorite dudes, Matt Peral from Daily Juice. I can't believe it. You're here again. Welcome back. I love your show. As I tell everyone, you got to listen to Daily Juice. It's my first podcast every morning, as you know. And we're going to talk Saturday playoff. We got 2 games, and you promised to come back for Patriots Bills 3 if they played a third time, and here we are. They're playing a third time in Buffalo, and just as you predicted on the last show when you were here with us, the Patriots won in Buffalo. Buffalo, just like you said, went into Foxborough and they won. Pretty handily. It wasn't it wasn't a close game. And in Buffalo, Mac Jones threw, I think, 3 passes. But this time it's going to be ice cold night. Mac Jones, a warm weather quarterback. And my main question I want to ask you is, I love the Patriots story this season. And they're ahead of schedule. And it's if they lose, it's still a great story. Mm-hmm. But the Bills are probably a year or 2 ahead in this playoff window. Is that basically the story, that the Bills are just a little farther ahead, and it's a victory whether the Patriots win or lose?
Well, yeah, on the Patriots side, there's no pressure today. I mean, this is all – no one was expecting to be here. There are 0 rookie quarterbacks in the playoffs besides Mac Jones. They all did not have winning records besides Mac Jones. So you're a year ahead plus right now. The Patriots went last year 7-9. They had to basically tank to get a better draft pick, but mostly they get all the expiring contracts off the books. So that's why they went out and spent nearly $250 million, out there on a number of players that have helped out in a number of ways. Matthew Judon's been an absolute huge stud for that defense. Yeah. Patriots, when he has a sack, Patriots are winning at about a 90% clip. So watch that today. If he gets a sack, it's a huge omen for the Patriot defense. They also went out and got, 2 new offensive linemen. Both are playing, I believe, today. They got, obviously, both tight ends who have been effective in the run game, maybe not as effective in the pass game as you would have liked, but very much effective in the run game. And they were able to get help for, this defense in the back end, bringing back a guy like Kyle Van Noy, help the pass rush as well, get a couple of players in the linebacker, and get Jamie Collins coming back. So they brought back players. And I was reading a really interesting article by Jeff Howe in The Athletic about how rival GMs basically said to Belichick, good luck with that, bringing back players who used to be part of your defense and having them be effective. And it's worked. I mean, this is why, when the world goes left, Belichick goes right, and he just is able to do things that nobody else is doing. So I think everyone really is interested to see what Belichick looks like. The Bills' money is coming in today. It's up to 5 as expected. I mean, people were wondering about the weather, and they were waiting and seeing, okay, as we know, wind is the major factor for totals, and wind is a major factor for a game in which Josh Allen has to throw the football. And so there's no pressure on the Patriots. I mean, they just got to go up there and play their game. And if the things break their way, and if no one's really expecting them to win this game, and if they do, it'll be one of the most ironic and hysterical things in Patriot history next year when the Bills hoist up an AFC East championship banner, knowing that they lost both games at home to the Patriots. Yeah. So that is the thing I'm looking forward to the most here in this game, that if somehow, some way they shock the world and they get a victory, this would be something else. I think there's a very good chance the Patriots win this game. I think this is going to be a field goal game one way or the other. Right. I think the Patriots are absolutely live to win and cover today. But I mean, the only play I've got on this game on a side and total is I teased the Patriots up to 10, and I took the total up to 50 and took the under. Yeah. So
I love that play.
I'm same game teasing this game. And I mean, I think the Bills are going to win. I think the Bills probably win by 7, but I think it's like a 27-20 game at the most. I mean, I don't see this being a high scoring game by any means. And I think it's a heavy field goal game. I think that the cold does impact players' ability just to catch the ball. And Josh Allen throws so darn hard. I want to see how these receivers handle the ball, because deflected passes, balls that are going to be hard and slick could fly right through people's hands. And all of a sudden you got a pick and a pick 6. And Patriot defense has got to be the story today. If the Patriots are going to win this game, they're going to have their defense rise up.
Right. I'm on the under too. Everything slows down in the cold. Um, like I said, line movement. This line's up to 5 now, I think, in
Yep.
some places.
Yep. And
Um,
it's going to climb. I mean, really, there's not a lot of once it gets to 4.5 to 5, there's no real resistance. 5.5,
yep,
6. The public and the pros are going to be on both sides. Everyone's waiting for the wind
yep.
forecast, and we're just getting wind chill of -4. It's the coldest game in Patriot history, and I understand that you're going to question Mac Jones, a Florida kid who went to Alabama, his ability to handle this, but Josh Allen's numbers in the cold have not been good. Not good. And they're like, well, he played at Wyoming. I don't care. His numbers, they're a West Coast wide open offense. They need nice weather. It's why I told you guys the last time I was on the show that the Patriots with bad weather in Buffalo, great. I said, if it's 45 and sunny in Foxborough, the Patriots are in trouble. It was 45 and sunny almost to the number when they played, and the Patriots were in trouble. So this weather forecast is, the funny thing about the lake effect snow at night is that the wind can kick up and the snow flurries can start, and all of a sudden, like a squall comes through. And when does it come through? What part of the game? We know it's going to be miserable to be out there playing football. That's why the get-in price in Buffalo is $30 for a ticket tonight. So wow. no one wants to go and sit in 0-degree air temperature and -4 wind chill to watch a football game. And I don't blame them. It's the one sport that it is absolutely miserable for everyone who's going to be at that stadium outside.
I've been there in those games, being from the Chicago area. Went to a playoff game, and it must have been -20. This was Bears 49ers. I think it was 1989. And 49ers, they're not a cold weather team. The Bears 49ers came in 28-3. I froze my ass off. And by the time they poured the hot chocolate out of the vendor's mug, it was cold.
Frozen,
already.
Right. It was already frozen. There is no getting warm. You can wear whatever ski suit or hunting jacket or drink whiskey, whatever your trick is, try to stay warm in that temperature. It's just not fun. I mean, for anyone. And then having to hit somebody and run and cut. And, there'll be the nasty, crazy dudes, the guys with their shirts off acting all tough, but it's not fun to be outside in that temperature. And look, I'm from New England, and I've been in Vegas now for 6 years, and I hate cold more than anything. So this was my big question about the Raiders more than anything. The air temp in that game is going to be 32 degrees at start. And talking about Derek Carr, a guy who grew up in California, play at Fresno State, dome team, West Coast warm weather team, going to Ohio winter in January.
His numbers are not good in the cold, Derek Carr. I mean, I love they just played an overtime game against the Chargers Sunday night at home.
Yeah.
How much they got left in the tank?
It's Sunday night to Saturday afternoon. It's a defense that played 85 snaps in that game. It was an absolute emotional roller coaster at the end, what was going to happen. And they have to go take on a team that came to Vegas a month ago, put up 30-plus points, scored 19 points in the fourth quarter, and they couldn't do anything to stop Joe Burrow. They also couldn't score themselves either. They couldn't move the ball in that Bengals defense either. Now, they didn't have Waller in the game, but it doesn't matter. Waller's one player. He's not going to make that big of a difference where somebody is scoring 30 points here, in this game. So I'm down on Derek Carr today. I'm down on this Raider defense today.
Yeah.
I don't know it's going to be a blowout, but I could see it being a blowout with the Bengals winning big today.
I do too. I'm on the Bengals. A quick Jamar Chase touchdown, Cincinnati doesn't have to throw as much because you got Max Crosby on the Raiders, and he's number 1 in the NFL in pressures. If he's getting pressure on Joe Burrow, it's a different story. And then, maybe the Raiders keep it a little closer.
I mean, it's funny, though, because Joe Burrow is the number 1 quarterback in the NFL, yardage-wise and completion-wise against the blitz. So you blitz him, he kills you. But he's not great. He's averaging only about 55% completion against teams when they're not blitzing. Raiders are the last. Raiders are the last in the NFL in blitz percentage, and they're last in the playoffs in blitz percentage.
That's why you're the best, Matt. That stat right there.
They don't blitz. Okay. So the Raiders are a team that wants to play rush for having Max Crosby get pressure on a quarterback without blitzing has been why this defense has been so good, because you don't have to send the extra man. You can leave that safety, that nickel, and go ahead and put him into coverage. You can bracket Jamar Chase and take him out. Problem is there's all these other weapons for the Bengals that can go off. And Joe Mixon ran for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first matchup, because if you have that 4-man front, you can't stop the run. So it could be a big Joe Mixon game again, in particular with the weather today. He could be a major factor running the football and not being able to run. So to me, I look at Joe Burrow today and I'm like, man, they're scoring 30. And I just don't know how many points the Raiders are going to score.
Right. I know you're all over the team total for the Bengals. Yeah. I also
and the under
like
and the under for the Raiders.
For the Raiders.
So I'm anticipating. I kind of hedged off of it rather than bet the under in the game, because it could come in. Like hypothetically, Raiders score 20 points and you have 30 for the Bengals. It goes over, but that would be over their team total for the Bengals and under for the team total for the Raiders. So I'm trying to thread the needle there a little bit with that bet, because I think the under's in play, but I think the number's right. I think it's going to be right around 48, 49, 50 points today.
Right. And, I mean, if the Bengals kind of flame out the next game, next year, I expect the Bengals to be pretty darn good.
You have 2 head coaches who've never been in this game. So I can't stand Zach Taylor. And I was
going to say that.
Yeah, I am an absolute. I worked at Nebraska. I covered Zach Taylor with Bill Callahan. Somehow he won the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year award, which I never understood even then. Still don't understand it now. He's younger than me. He's a head coach. I think they win despite their head coach. But Rich Bisaccia has this like rah 25-year thing going here in Vegas, which is really fun. But he's never been in this spot. I mean,
he's never been there either.
It's a 10-7 football team right now that is somehow in the playoffs right now. That, when they fired John Gruden, Henry Ruggs kills somebody here with a drunk driving arrest. They have, a cornerback first-round pick, and Arnett gets cut because he's showing guns to everybody and threatening people on TikTok. I mean, it's been a nuts year. Injuries all over the place, and somehow they're 10-7 and they're in the playoffs. Like them and the Raiders. I mean, in the Eagles up to a point as well. Like there are 3 teams that on any other year you'd be like, come off it. These aren't playoff teams. Eagles aren't playoff teams. Steelers aren't a playoff team, and the Raiders aren't really a playoff team either. So I love what they're doing. They're hot at the right time, and that's the one case you could make for the Raiders. They're hot. Yep.
They're hot at the right time. Right, exactly. This might be a weekend where it's all favorites. There aren't many dogs.
Well, no, I mean, look I think I saw yesterday in the last 18 games in Wild Card Weekend, if you teased,
the dogs are huge.
If you teased it up, the teaser 17-1 to a teased dog on Wild Card Weekend over the last 18 games.
Yeah,
that's a crazy
17,
number.
17-3 the dogs are in the first weekend of the playoffs. I think over the last 20 games. I read that somewhere. So yeah, but it doesn't feel like a dog day.
Money line, it doesn't feel like a dog, but money line, I think home teams winning is, I mean, you kind of go up and down the board and you're like, okay, which home team is going to lose? Yeah. It's hard to really make a huge case. I think the Cowboys could lose absolutely tomorrow.
I'm with you.
I think, I don't see the Bucs losing. I would be stunned if Brady were to lose to the Eagles as double-digit favorites at home in the playoffs. I mean, injuries or no injuries, that would be like, wait, what? From a Brady perspective, and I don't know. I have a hard time. Even the Rams, I have a hard time seeing the Rams losing at home to the Cardinals on Monday night. So it feels like home teams are going to rule.
I agree, and speaking of 49ers, talking about a team that this team matches up well with everybody. Mm-hmm. They can run the ball. Their defense is really good. It all comes down to the quarterbacking for San Francisco. If he can manage the game and stay healthy, I'm talking about Garoppolo. But 3.5 points in Dallas, man, I could see that being a close game of 49ers covering by the 3.5 points. But I could even see him winning outright.
Yes.
49ers, to talk about the one team you don't want to draw in the first round of the playoffs. Dallas got that unlucky short straw. But.
Look, Dallas, go through their schedule over the last 6 games, and you tell me what game or opponent that you go, oh, well, look out for Dallas, because they played one game, the Philadelphia game you throw out, last game, week 18, Philly didn't play anybody, and they didn't care. So chuck that out. Of those other 5 games, the only playoff team they played was Arizona, at home, and they lost outright.
Lost. Yep.
So I'm not in love with this Cowboys defense, and I don't know about this Cowboys offense. And look, if JJ Watt comes back, I mean, I think that there are players you start to kind of look at and go, all right, so defensively, how big of a game record could a defensive lineman really be? Well, look at the defensive line for the Cardinals. Look, they have first rounders all over the place. And it's a big deal when you get these guys who are somewhat healthy, who can stop the run and make you go one dimensional. I think that's why the Cardinals are so jacked up about JJ if he plays, because defensive linemen in the postseason can be huge factors. And I'm going to take the team with the better, and I know Cowboys offensive line, people are going to go, oh my gosh, the Cowboys offensive line. I'll take the better line. I think who wins in the trenches. I think the Niners are going to beat up on that defensive line for the Cowboys. And I think that Niners defensive line is going to have their way with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I agree. I've already put in a play on the Niners, but
I'm on +3.
Told,
I took 3 even money. The second that thing went to even money, I was like, okay, boom. I jumped on it and I grabbed it. And it's going to be a popular dog. I mean, they were a popular dog last week against the Rams. And people, I mean, the public are going to be on San Francisco because it plays out. The logic is there. And half the time, we all see it, break it down, handicap it, and it comes out to be the exact opposite. So like that it could very well be that way with this game. But I know the Cowboys being at home, everyone's saying like Dak's numbers at home are so great. And that was my logic against the Cardinals. And Dak didn't play well. So maybe he was just hot in the beginning part of the year at home, and now he's cooled off, and defenses have figured out what the Cowboys are trying to do. I'm super interested to see the secondary for the Niners, because that's the number one problem is that you got some inexperienced players back there, and you got, if you can give Dak 4.5, 5 seconds, he's going to kill you.
Yeah.
So they've got to find a way to get after. If the O-line for the Cowboys gives Dak time, it could be a long day for that Niners defense.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've got a lot of weapons, 3 good wide receiver, couple good tight ends, and 2 good running backs who can catch
I don't
the
see
ball.
them running the ball though. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm letting the public bet the over on Zeke props, and I very well might take the over on everything Zeke. I mean, sorry, you think under on everything Zeke,
right?
Because I don't think they run the ball. I don't think he catches the ball. I don't think Elliott's going to be a factor at all in the game, personally.
Yeah, Tony Pollard is the guy I'm talking about more out of the backfield, catching passes and making plays in the run game as well. I'm not so sure at this point in their careers that he's not the better running back. I'm talking about Pollard.
I mean, all year long, Cowboy fans have been clamoring for more carries for Pollard and to not give Zeke the attention that they've been giving him. But when you pay a guy what you're paying him,
right, he's on the field.
You got to justify it a little bit when you're giving him when he's got the contract that he's got.
Right on. Well, what do you say we give away a free play? And I know you're busy, and I want to thank you for your time.
Sure.
I'll run a little free play transition. All right, this is the free play for today. Bills Patriots under 44. How you feeling about the under Bills Patriots? Solid
I like.
play.
Yeah, okay. I like it. I like it a lot. I just gave myself a little extra cushion and took it up to 50 and took the under.
I tailed you.
So. Yeah, and I gave the Patriots 10, and now you can give the Patriots 11 if you want. You can cross 10, which is even better. Yep. So that teaser just got a little better if you want to go up and do that. But I wanted the double digits for the Patriots. I think it's a one-score game. The thing that I'm the most concerned about is, look, I'm on Mac Jones under 30.5 passing attempts in this game. I don't think the Patriots are going to throw the football. I don't think Belichick trusts him to throw the football all over the place in the cold. In just period. I just don't think even when weather's nice, I don't think they trust him to throw the ball all over the place. So I think from a Patriot perspective, if they're going to win the game, it's going to have to be like a 13-10 game. Like it can't be high scoring. Yeah. If the Bills get up, if the Bills score 24 points, your under's probably safe because the Patriots aren't going to score that many points. So that's why I think 44 points is a pretty decent bet. And somebody put up the stats of the last 4 playoff games when the temperature was below 5 degrees, and like the most points combined scored was 43.
Nice.
So it's cold, extreme cold affects unders totals.
And you got
like,
two of the top defenses,
yeah,
number 1 and number 4 overall.
32. I mean, Mills being out stinks for the Patriots. That's a guy who's on in their secondary for a ton. So he's on the COVID list. So that's kind of a bummer to have him still be out. He's been sick for a bit. So that kind of sucks. But other than that, I mean, it's number 1, number 2 scoring defenses. And it just kind of, it's hard to see a Belichick defense giving up a ton of points. I'm very confident. Yeah. If you want to double down, bet the under on the Patriot team total. Because I don't think the Patriots are scoring very many points today. This is all about that Patriot defense.
Right. And as far as a teaser, you're giving me Bill Belichick double digits. I'm taking that every time.
Yeah, so. I agree. And 50 points in that cold weather.
Right.
So I mean, like the only way, we talk about this a lot on the Bostonian versus the book, my daily other show that I do with Dave Sherapan. He often says when I give him teasers, okay, which leg loses? And like, I can't see 50 losing. Like I can't see over 50 points being scored in this game. Yeah, and so like the only way he loses is if the Patriots get blown out and they lose by 14 points, which could happen. So the Patriots are going to have to run the ball. Damian Harris has to have a big game like he did the first time in Buffalo. And really, for me, I'm very curious to see if the Patriots are going to take the ball. If they won the coin flip, would they take the ball and kind of buck the Belichick? Oh, he always loves to defer and take the ball. But I wonder if they would buck the trend here, because I think playing from behind in this game is death for the Patriots.
Yeah,
I agree. They got to dictate tempo. They got to score first, even if it's 3 points. Like another prop I like is over 1.5 field goals for Nick Folk or over 6.5 points scored for Nick Folk. You can get plus money on the over 6.5 points for Nick Folk. I mean, he's an absolute machine under 40 yards, and I could see numerous drives of the Patriots getting into the red zone, stalling, and them kicking field goals.
Good call.
So that's another prop.
Over 6.5 Nick Folk
points or over 1.5 made field goals.
Okay, over 1.5 made. Yeah, I love over 1.5 made field goals. That's probably a darn good bet.
Yeah. So I mean, if that hits, you get 2, and then the Patriots need one touchdown for the extra point. They're 7. Sure. So you can do both. I'm on both bets, but I gave out on the juice. I gave out over 6.5 because it was plus 105. It was plus money last night. So you pay. Most books had a little. You're paying some juice on the over 1.5 field goals. I think it was shaded towards the over in most books. But if you go over 6.5 points, you get some plus money on that.
All right. Well, Matt, I'm going to thank you for your time. I know you got to get going. You got a busy day today too. My wife
smoking some pork. Doing some Iowa stuff today.
Nice, excellent.
Do a little pulled pork shouldered sandwiches for our Boston butt. Beautiful. For us on a Patriot game day.
My smoker's covered in snow.
We don't have that problem. Yeah, can't shovel heat, as I tell everybody. You can't shovel heat.
All right, Matt. Thanks again. Hopefully you come back again soon. Anthony,
anytime, guys.
He had a busy day. Thanks again.
And I'm the team captain. He's the preview, and I'm the main attraction. Unstoppable, unconquerable, on top of the world, accomplishing the impossible. Unstoppable, unconquerable, on top of the world, accomplishing the impossible. Invincible hustle, mighty desire to conspire, to transpire, to